All right.
Yeah, you can continue.
So, again, very good afternoon to everyone. I am Anirudh Chaturvedi, along with Ansh Sakuja. We are the secretaries of the Tech Syndicate Club, and we welcome you on behalf of the whole team for your first training ground session for audio and video editing. So, a basic about audio and video editing, it basically refers to what you see on YouTube these days. The videos that you see. So we'll be editing those videos. There are different types of it. We'll be going over it in the later half of the later half of the session. For your student lead, we'll have me, Anirudh Chaturvedi, and along with me will be Ansh Sakuja. I'll be primarily focusing on motion graphics, whereas Ansh will be teaching you about films. We'll be having sessions every weekend. There'll be about 4 to 5 sessions of audio and video editing in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and uh, your course is, as I said before, motion graphics and video editing, and your prerequisites are Adobe After Effects that we'll be using as our main software, and Adobe Illustrator and Figma we'll be using for um, motion graphics to like offer it. So your learning outcomes after this boot camp will be that you'll be able to animate your tech graphics and text in your video. You can add smooth transitions to your video using keyframes. That is a concept in motion graphics or in video editing in general. You can use pre-existing effects in After Effects. There are a lot of there's an effect panel, and there are a lot of things that you could use from there. Then you can sync your audio beats and video to create aesthetic animations, because audio is one of the major things, as the name of the session suggests, in a particular video. Then you'll be able to render your video in high quality and less file size. And lastly, and then in the later half of the sessions, maybe in the last session, we'll be diving into advanced tools of After Effects like Puppet Tool, and you'll also be following along some pre-existing motion graphics project from scratch, usually the videos you see on our YouTube channels. And you can create your own motion graphics project. That will be your task for different weeks. So, coming on to the topic of what is audio and video editing, it is a very complex field, but if you get a hang of it, if you get a hang of it, trust me, it is very easy and it is pretty enjoyable as well. So you can make some really good looking things in that. So AV can be categorized into four types, I would say. First is films, then we have motion graphics, then we have animation, and we have videos in general. So coming on to the topic of what are films, films are usually made to convey a story, and as the word suggests, you all are familiar with what films are. So what we usually go and see in the cinema or on television these days. But what films here refer to are short films that we usually have to go over. We usually have to submit in competitions or sometimes for an event in school. So it basically refers to the way in which you can present your story to the viewer in an important aspect of film. So you have to be creative, and at the same time it should look that your film is a unique film and not repetitive. Because if it's repetitive, then no viewer gets no viewer like pays attention to it because they've seen it earlier. So the recommended softwares for films, as you can see on the slide, is Adobe Premiere Pro, Sony Vegas Pro, and DaVinci Resolve. We won't be covering these particular softwares in our session, but we'll do try to inculcate them as and when required so that you can get a hang of it as well and you can later try it by yourselves. These are some of the examples of what basically films are. Um, I I'll be playing some parts of it, not the whole video, because then we'll have a lot of time of a session going into that. I'll just be playing some part of it so that you get a basic idea of what films are or how we usually make it, or like that. Most of you would have been part of Ameng Moon this year as well. So the closing video that we made for Ameng Moon is also considered a part of a short film in itself. So one second, let me know if this is audible if I play it. Is it audible?
No.
Returns following these.
Yeah, it is audible.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
very
it
well.
is audible.
Yes.
It is audible. It is audible.
We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency announcement.
So before we go with this whole video, what I want to tell you is a brief idea of what the video is. So the video is about two people, a father and his son, and there's a nuclear explosion that is going to happen in their country, and it is about how a son is being happy about something they have accomplished, and how somehow he reached home back to his father, but his father is sad, informing him about how the world is going to end, or how their world is going to end, I would say, in some point of time. And at the end he just saves his pleasure, or something that he wanted his son to experience. And we have shown it in a form, though it is not advisable like that, but we have showed it in a form of that the father and son drink alcohol together, and that is one of the ideas that the father wanted to convey to his son. Basically wanted to show that he wanted his son to experience adulthood as well, not only his childhood. So this was the basic idea, and the title is given 300 seconds because we were um, given a timeline. The prompt was that the last 5 minutes of your life before a nuclear explosion. So 300 seconds diverts to 5 minutes, and as you can see that the film has also purposely been made only of 5 minutes exactly, so that so that the users can relate with it. So here is it.
Please stand by for further information. This is an emergency warning from the NBC. The warning of a nuclear strike against this country. Nuclear strikes is imminent. Citizens are advised to prepare and remain in their homes. Evacuations are taking place in the Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, D.C. and New York City areas. Police will help you with evacuation. Follow their orders without question.
So this is how we do create films. We do have some kind of pre-existing effects in this, and films usually consists of different fields. Acting, it consists of acting. It consists of shooting, script writing, and then finally editing. There are the four basic concepts of film. So when we make a film, it is always in order. First, we get a prompt. We write a short script according to it. Then we shoot, and then we put those into our computer and put it into After Effects or any other software that you have, and then make it into a form of a film. So this was one of the films that we had. I'll be sharing the link if you want to go over them, because right now I won't be showing you all of it. We have taken different angles, and films also consist of color grading, adding different sound effects so that you make it kind of real. And you can see that we have taken different angles of a person, and we have shot it in a location so that it comprehends with the basic idea of the film. So that was one thing. Then the second is the Amingmon closing. So this was basically a closing video. So it technically does not express any particular story, but it do have various techniques that we use in a film. So you can have a look.
Lately, I've been losing.
So this was also a particular film. I think most of you would have seen it. If you are not, I'll be sharing the link with you. You can later go over them. So coming on to the next thing that we have after films is motion graphics. So motion graphics are pieces of animation or digital footage that we create. Um, and for also motion graph to explain motion graphics, what I can do for you guys is that I'll be so yeah. So if we take this particular image, are you able to see this image of a flower? Is it
Yeah, we're able
visible?
to
Yes.
see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this particular flower, now this is a stationary image. This is considered a graphic. And when you try to animate it, like you move this flower left or right, or you move these petals, so that becomes that basically means animating those stationary graphics you have. And a term that is given to them is motion graphics. So motion graphics, as the name suggests, that we give a certain kind of motion to the stagnant graphics that we have. So one second. Yeah. So for motion graphics, we do have to first create a graphic in softwares like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop or Figma, and then we can animate it into Adobe After Effects. One of the major things of Adobe products is that you can have you can have your activity synced. Like if you make a particular file in Illustrator, so all the layers will come into Adobe After Effects in the similar manner, and then you can animate them as well. So this is what we'll be covering mostly in the boot camp. We'll be focusing more on motion graphics because that is one of that is an essential skill that is required in most of the competitions that usually take place throughout the year. So this is an example of motion graphics. Like you can see, we made this kind of image. This is a stagnant image. I took this image and then I animated all of these clouds, this reflection that is coming, then the plane that is coming out from here. So all of this is animated, and I also added sound effects so that it looks kind of real. So this is a 3D footage that was given to me by the 3D artist that we have in Tech Syndicate, and then I animated it so that it comes out as a commercial. We usually have in such kind of videos we usually put different kinds of elements. Sometimes we put stock footages, sometimes we do have 3D elements, sometimes we have 2D elements, so that it becomes like an advertisement or like a commercial for the product. So this is one. This was one, and the other is the Robotronics teaser. Robotronics is Tech Syndicate's annual inter-school tech event. It sees participation from about 25 schools every year, and we do have 500 plus participants in it. So this was the opening video that we made for Robotronics 2022. It does have 2D elements and it does have 3D elements as well in the later half of the video. And it has text animation as well, like this. This is a 3D element that we put for our Robotronics logo. This was text animation. We'll be going over it how to create it in After Effects. I'll be teaching you in the session as well. So that ends our theory part of um, audio and video editing. Ansh will be going over films a bit more in the later half of today's session. So that was it. Now you all can open After Effects if you have downloaded it. If you haven't, then I'll be sharing my screen and letting you know how to do it.
Also, if you guys have any questions, you can just ask in the middle of the session by raising your hand.
Yeah, by raising a hand, or you can post them in the chat window as well. Is After Effects downloaded for everybody, or do I need to?
It's downloaded.
Downloaded. Downloaded.
Can you
Can
just
you
show
show that,
once?
please?
Yes.
They are not downloaded.
Okay. I will show you guys as well. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so first thing what you guys have to do is that though Ansh sent you a link prior for downloading this particular software, But if you do want to, if you haven't downloaded it yet, then I'll be showing it to you. You can check this other site as well, because what unsent you can take a lot of time. It actually depends on your speed, your internet speed as well. Though both of the sites take time, as these are cracked versions. You can buy Adobe After Effects as well, but that is pretty expensive if you're a beginner right now. So I suggest that you take the 7 days trial from Adobe Creative Cloud, or you can just download the crack version. The crack version has some downsides to it, that sometimes it works a bit slow or it has threats or viruses. But from the sites that we are telling you, we have been personally downloading it on our systems as well, and we haven't faced any sort of issues in the past. I think I'm using After Effects for almost 3 years now, and I have not been, getting any kind of issues with it. So I'll be showing you this site. This is called mutaz.net. You can search this on your browser. There might be a warning because it is considered a site that can have viruses, but it doesn't. So you can go to Adobe products, then you can have the different versions of Adobe softwares. So if you want to download Adobe After Effects, currently there are three versions for it. I personally use 2022 version, so I'll be showing you that itself. You can click on 2022 or version 2 or version 22. Go to direct download and click on this button, direct download. This will get you to the download page. And when you click here to download, I think it will, yeah. So it gives you this kind of window. So you can download this this will download a zip file. So you can download it on your computer. I do have, I have downloaded it earlier as well, so I'll be showing you. Once you have downloaded this zip file, you have to you have to extract those files from any extract software that you have. I use WinRAR, so I can give you the link for that as well. So once you extract, you'll get these four files. There'll be three folders and one file of the setup. Go to create a particular folder and then copy all these four files into that folder. And after you are done that, just double click on setup, and I think this should run the setup. You can go over yes. You have to click yes, and after this you get a screen like this where you have to select your language and location. I think both of them are not to be touched, and then you can click continue. So after you continue, the installation process will start. Um, I already have installed the software pre-installed, so I'll be showing you that. That was for the installation process. If that's clear, or do you want to repeat?
Can you just tell the app which you have used for extraction?
Yeah, I'll be posting that in the chat window. 1 second.
I will do that.
Yeah, Ansh can do that. It's WinRAR, or you can use the Windows extractor as well. You do get a pre-installed Windows extractor if you're using a Windows laptop. So does anybody have any questions till now for any field or for the installation process? You can let me know right now, or I'll continue with the session.
I have a question. Will the tech syndicate be for the entirety of this 2023-2024 session? Or will it only be for a few weekends?
It will, the training grounds we do have only for a few weekends. Training grounds will be our workshop session. So it will be only for 3 weeks, that is till 6th May. And later around May, we do have our intra-school tech competition, that is InTech. So there you can provide your submissions on different topics, and then we can take your submissions, and if you are good enough, then we'll have an interview with you and we'll induct you into our team. And later you can go into different kinds of competitions that we have, inter-school competitions. There are about 20-25 competitions throughout the year, so we can send different teams and different students. So that is how the tech syndicate works. The workshops won't be there for the whole year. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll be going to After Effects now. Yeah, so is my After Effects screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So when you open After Effects, you will get a screen like this. Firstly, yeah, this will be your home page. So this can have all, you can see all your recent projects here. If you want to create a team project, then you can create it from your team project means that you can work in collaboration with all the people that you're working with. And open project means I'll be going over every button that is present in After Effects so that you don't have any doubts. Open project will mean any prior project that you have made in After Effects, the saved file, you can open that. And new project is what you're going to do now. Um, so after you click new project, you can see two things right here. First is new composition and another is new composition from footage. So what we'll be doing is we'll be going over a new composition, and whenever we start a project, we usually do this. We can give this composition a particular name. So for right now, I'll give this AV session 1. Then the preset, though there is always there's a preset available, but if you want, then you can customize it as well according to your needs. So this is your width, as the name suggests, width and height of the composition, and your aspect ratio should be square pixels. Then your frame rate, it depends on what kind of video you are making. Like if you're making a motion graphics video, then we usually take 30 or 24. That is the usual frame rate that I personally use for motion graphics video. And in films, it depends on what kind of frame rate your footage has been shot and how do you want your footage to be like. If your footage is shot at 24 fps, then you can use 24 fps or any. That is something that you can study upon in like on Google if you have like time, because it is a vast topic about frame rates and how do they work. Or we can arrange a session for you in the next class on frame rate when we explain films to you. So next thing that comes up is the duration. So duration will mean the time that you want for your video. So as I told you before about the 500 seconds, oh sorry, 300 seconds film that we had. So I kept this time 5 minutes so that beyond 5 minutes I cannot make anything into After Effects unless I go to the composition settings again and change the duration. So this helps if there is a time limit set on your video. Recently, I was given a task of making a video of only 59 seconds. I cannot even go to 1 minute, only 59 seconds. So I can keep the duration that so that I don't go beyond that particular time limit. So that is it. Then the background color, um, you can keep it black or it depends on what kind of video you are making. This is usually be something we sometimes ignore because we usually use solid layers in the background. But if your video consists of consists of a black background, then I suggest go with black or with red, any of the background that you want. So after you're done this, you can click OK. Once you click OK, you'll see this kind of screen in your After Effects. This is your composition, and this area is called your timeline. So composition, this is the area where we will be mainly working on, where there will be a preview of what we are making into the timeline. Then the next thing that we have is the timeline. So in the timeline, we do have all our files set up, or what kind of text that we want to add in the timeline. We can reduce its length. We can see at what point do we want what thing to come up. Then this is our project. So this consists of all the files that we put in the timeline, or whatever files that we import into a project, not necessarily timeline, but of what we import into a project. Then effects control, if we use any kind of effects from After Effects, any pre-installed effects if we use, then we can use this effects control to check what kind of things that we you I mean, what kind of settings that you want in your effect. That is the basic thing. Then this is your project. It shows your composition. This is your time code. So it shows you at what place is your blue timer. So this is your blue timer and at what place is this present. So for example, right now it is at 26 seconds. So I can see that. And the next thing that we have is this. This is your composition. Like at what point do you want your composition to be, like its size. So it can be fill up to 100%, so it will show you like that, or you can go up to any percentage. So it will reduce the size of your preview, not your video, but your preview. It actually depends on how you want it. Like I usually have fit to frame, but when I want to make some small adjustments, then I particularly zoom in the composition and then I go over it side by side. Then this is your working. This is how your working will be. Yeah. So this can be at quarter or third half full. This means that if you want to edit on full quality, then you can do that. Or if you want to edit on quarter quality, which means that it will take less of your RAM and less of your processor usage when we do it on lower rates. Like editing, we can do it on lower rates, and then while rendering, we can have it at full rate. Uh, so this won't affect your project, but it will just enhance your speed of working. It is highly suggested in laptops that are not that usually do not have the right amount of system requirements for working with the software. And this is the basic UI of After Effects. This is the tool panel, and this is the effects or different kinds of settings panel that we have. And all of this can be explored by yourself as well. Even if you don't understand any meaning of any particular thing, then you can definitely ask us on the Discord channel that we have made, or on our personal Discord IDs as well. Me or Ansh, you can contact any of us. Uh, so first thing that I'll be going, one second. Yeah. So one thing that we can, yeah. So I was explaining this to you. First thing is the info. So this will tell you the exact position of your cursor, like my cursor position. Where is it on X and Y axis? As most of you have studied maths, I think it is in grade 6 or 7 itself. What are X axis and Y axis? I hope I don't need to explain that. This is your X axis, the horizontal line, and this is your Y axis, the vertical line. And then we do have audio. Audio, this shows your audio levels in Adobe After Effects. What? Yeah. Wait. Yeah. So this is next we do have effects and presets. So this is all the pre-installed effects that we do have in After Effects, or any plugins that you install. Like I have Video Copilot, that is extra. So that is a plugin that I installed for a particular use in my video. These are different kinds of effects that you can explore by yourselves, like blur, or you do have color correction that we do in our films. Then we have keying matte or text. This will have different effects for text or transitions. So there are transitions, but we do create them ourselves in After Effects as and when required, because using most of these pre-installed effects are not allowed into competitions that we do participate in. Like using these presets are not allowed. So we do have to create those animations ourselves. Then the next is libraries. We don't use it that much. Then align. This is to align a particular thing on your composition. Like if you do have any kind of text or any kind of shape or any footage that you want to center align or horizontally align or left align or right align. So you can do that with this panel.
Maybe
Next,
you can just draw a shape and explain it side by side.
Yeah, yeah, I can do that. So I'll be creating one shape here. I'll be going over how to do that in a while, but this is how you create a basic shape. Like I have a rectangle. So when you want to align, you can do it. Just click on these buttons like the center align. Oh, sorry, this is like what horizontally align. Then this is your y-axis align. That was your x-axis align. Then you do have like left align, right align as well that you can do. So once you do this, that will particularly align your thing that you have made on your on your composition. The next thing is character. So character is referred to text, like it is referred for text layers that we have. So you click on this text tool and you create a text. Like I create one text, and I'll be so this is how I edit my text. Like the character panel helps me edit my text. So I do have a text written here, and then I have this to increase the size of that particular layer. So I have to select that layer and I have to increase its size so I can do that. Then I can go to the line panel and center align it probably. Then this is uh, this is when you do have your text in two layers. So you can probably if you want some spacing between the two lines of text that you have, so you can arrange it with that. So these are all the basic things that we have in the character panel are usually the ones that we do use in Microsoft Word as well. The character and the paragraph panel are used for text itself. So both of these consist of all the tools that we do have in Microsoft Word. So all of you will be aware of it, or you can just go over them during this week. And if you have any doubts, then you can let us know. Then these are certain kind of advanced tools that we will be going over in the later half of our sessions. Then coming on to this layer, the first tool, this is the home button. So this will get you to the first screen that you got after opening After Effects. Then the next will be your move button. So move tool or selection tool. So when you want to move something, you can just take this move tool. You can select this layer and you can move it wherever you want. Then the next is hand tool. So the hand tool allows you to move your composition in After Effects. Then the next thing is zoom tool. So zoom tool helps you zoom into your After Effects composition. Then we do have anchor point tool. I'm just going over the ones that are important right now. So the anchor point is something that I want to explain you with an example. So take anchor point as your compass, and there are two halves of compass. So there is one that is stationary and there is one that helps us draw a circle. So the one that is stationary around which the other half of the compass moves is basically an anchor. So So this anchor point will be stagnant, and wherever we want to move our text, the text will move according to this anchor point. So if I want to rotate my particular layer, then if I rotate it, you can clearly see that it rotates like around this anchor point. If I change the positioning of the anchor point here towards the left, and then I rotate it, then you will see that this anchor point allows me to rotate it just from this edge point and not from the center as it was happening earlier. So it completely changes the overall appeal of the video. So that was the anchor tool. When you want to center, where usually we do want to center our anchor tool. So what you can do is you can press Control on your keyboard and then move your anchor tool to the center. This will align your anchor tool. Oh, sorry, anchor. I'm saying anchor tool. Uh, so anchor tool is done. Then we do have rectangle. Then we do have rectangle tool or shape tool that we have. This was one of the shapes that I created earlier. I'll be deleting this for a while. So this is our rectangle tool or our shape tool. Then we can have different kinds of shape here. First is the rectangle shape. Then in order to change it, we have to press Q on our keyboard. Q on our keyboard, so it will help us change into different kinds of shape that it has. So it has rectangle, star, or circle, or ellipse, any kind of shape that you want. It will make it. So right now I'll be making a star here. and that's how it helps you create. This also works very similarly to how you create a shape into Microsoft applications. And yeah, so this was one shape. Then there's the pen tool. So any shape that you don't have in the pre-installed shape tool, you can create it from the pen tool, or this is usually used to create masks as well. So when we have a pen tool, then we can, draw it with different points, and we can create a shape that we want. So now I created this unusual shape that I have. We don't have this pre-installed in After Effects as in the shape tool, but we can draw it with the pen tool. Then next is the text tool that I already went over, and these are some of the tools we'll be going over as and when they are required. So this was the basic part of the animation, oh sorry, the UI of Adobe After Effects. Any doubts that you guys have?
Okay.
Yes.
Like you explained the anchor tool, so does the anchor need to be touched the needs to touch the text to be able to move, or like near it only?
No, it can be anywhere. The anchor tool can be anywhere. It does not specifically. It does not specifically have to. One second. It does not specifically have to be. Um, like I'll write a text, and then I'll have the anchor. So I have the anchor right now here, so I can place it here as well. But the one thing that is necessary is that there should be a particular that it should be on that layer. Actually, it does not allow you to change the anchor point to another layer, but it should be on that layer specifically. This. So you can have the anchor point anywhere set, but usually we have it in center or any, like, it depends, highly depends on what you're making as well. So is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Any other doubts that you guys have? Okay, so the next thing that we have is that, okay, I think we can go over with films now. Now that I've explained the basic UI of After Effects to you, we'll be going over text animations and shape animations in the next session. Ansh, I think you can take over with the films part.
Yes. So can you stop sharing so I can share my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Is my screen visible? Oh,
Yeah, it's visible.
yeah. Basically, wait, I can open the project. Second, let me open a project and I will explain the entirety of it. Just one minute. Yeah, okay. So basically, in a film, you have to look at a variety of things. In that comes the cinematography, which is basically from what angles you're shooting the film. So usually I recommend if you're shooting one scene, you should take it from various angles so that you can just incorporate all of them in the editing part, and it'll just look a lot better. And coming to the color correction, I can show. So basically, this is a clip there. This is basically the whole edited part of it. But if I go over the footage, and if I
Ansh, before you continue, could you show them how do you add a file into After
oh,
Effects
okay, I'll
and
take
how
a
do you
new
cut and crop it?
yeah, okay,
So you can make a
I'll
new
take a new
project.
project. Yeah. So basically, for a film, you can in the composition settings, you can keep the frame rate according to the footage you've shot. It's usually 24 to 30 frames. I usually shoot mine in 24 FPS, so I'll keep my frame rate to 24. And you can keep the width and height to 1920 by 1080. That is basically full HD, and the duration can be according to the film. So, you know this now. You can go to file and import a footage. I'll look for any of it. I need to find my raw footages. I don't really remember it. Okay. One second. I'll just look for my footage right now and add them. Just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. 1 second. I'll just look for the footage. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so here this is basically a project from a competition. This is all the raw footage we've shot. So to import all this, you can go to the File tab. You can click on Import, and here you can click on File. Now you can just look for the footage where you stored it. You should basically store all the raw footage in one folder so that it is easier for you to access. So here I have it stored. I'll basically import any footage right now. I can uh, import the shot of the school library. You can click on it, import. So basically it comes on the left part on the project tab of your After Effects. Now to get it inside your composition, you need to hold press it and drag it inside the you can drag the uh, you can drag the file inside the composition, and it becomes a layer. So now this is basically a shot of the library. You can use the blue line to curse through it, to traverse through it. Now here you can there are a lot of variety of things you should look for. Firstly, you should instead if you have like one theme selected for your entire movie or film, you can instead of adding effects to every small footage, you can just right click on this part and click make an adjustment layer. So basically what this does is the adjustment layer will apply the effect over your entire composition or whichever part you select. So for example, if I want the same effect till 1 minute starting from zero, I can put the layer from 0 to 1 minute. To do that, you can go at the end of it. You'll find the dragging. Okay, yes, Naitik?
Yeah, so I just had one doubt in this. So, like, if there are more layers below the adjustment layer, for example, there are two or three layers, so the effects in the adjustment layer, will they be applied to only the first layer and underneath it, or like all the layers
No,
underneath
it
it?
will be applied on the layer just underneath it. So if I wait, I'll show you. I'll give you an example. First, I can drag it and bring it till 1 minute. So it's approximately 1 minute here. You can zoom in entirely to get the exact frames. So this is basically divided into like small frames. Here, this is the 1 minute mark. You can bring your adjustment there to it. So now this is basically the raw footage. Now you can go to the effects tab. Um, yeah, effects and presets.
So adjustment layer basically helps you to apply effects to the whole layer.
Yeah, yeah. So if I keep it till 1 minute, it will apply the same effect to the or to all the clips below the adjustment layer. So if I now go to, usually for films, you can go to color correction, and I personally use the Lumetri color effect. So here we have the Lumetri color effect. You can hold it and drag it onto the layer you want. Currently we're doing it on the adjustment layer. So I'll drag it onto the adjustment layer. Now here, you have a variety of tabs in the Lumetri color effect. You can go and play with all of these and find out what fits for your film. But the basic I usually do is I reduce the exposure a little bit, and I would increase the highlights. So it would basically just, whatever fits your film, you can add that. You can play
Okay.
around with all of this. And now see, okay, I'll add some of the, I'll have a tint, I'll add a tint inside this to show you an example. So this is you have two tints, shadow and highlight. So shadow tint basically goes over the shadows of it, and if I give this a blue tint, like a light blue tint, you can see the difference, right? So in this now, this raw footage is below the adjustment layer, so you can see the effect has been applied to it. Now if I drag it above this, the effect disappears because the adjustment layer only applies it to um, the layers below the adjustment layer. Hope it solves your doubt.
Okay. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Yeah. So after this, I can add another uh, file. That'll be it. Okay, I'll add this, and I can drag this into the composition as well. So basically now what we did in this part was our film was based on time. So like the prompt we received was time. So we kind of tried to make a sci-fi time travel film. And in that, this scene, in this scene, we tried to teleport the person, which is right here. So basically, this is the raw footage and this is the blank footage. So we incorporated both of them and made it look like that, he's teleporting into it. So I will go over that right now. Basically, first, you can add the blank part of it, and then you can go over the part in which the person is there. So if I just join both of them, to do that, you can press the shift key on your keyboard and drag it onto the left side or right side, wherever your upper layer is. So I'm gonna drag it here, and it'll automatically join with the above layer exactly, as you can see. So if I drag it like this, it will be a little difficult for you to join it. So just press shift and you can join it like this. So now in this part, if we run it through, I'll just move the sound, yeah. So if we go over this, this is basically two clips put together, but it obviously isn't combined well. So now to edit this, what you can do is, let's say you can decide which part do you want. So basically I want the clip to start when he jumps, when he's in midair. I want the clip to start from there. So basically I'm going to take this part. Now put your blue placeholder on this, and you can either trim it, and you can either split the layers, or you can press Alt on your keyboard and press the left square bracket. If I want to delete the right part of it, I can press the right square bracket. This will delete everything from the right side. And if I want to delete the left part, you can press Alt and the left bracket. So this will remove all the footage from the left side. Now I have this part till the end. Now I can put this and join it with the above layer. So basically it becomes like this. Now for the next part, I'll add another file into it. One second. So basically we took another shot of a close up of the newspaper. So here he opens the newspaper, and if I import that file, right, newspaper yeah, it's this one. So this is the third footage. Here also we can take maybe this part of it wherever you wanted to start. I would recommend whenever you're shooting for the film, you should always start the recording and wait 2 seconds to start your scene so that you can always cut the excess in the editing part and you can make it more seamless, footage. In the next part, I can maybe start it from here because I just want to show the newspaper. I don't want to because this if I make it like this, like if I started from here, it looks like obviously someone is walking in the camera and if someone has the camera in his hand and he's walking towards it, and you can also see the tripod here, which is obviously not a good part to show in your film. So I will start the scene from where the tripod is not visible. So I can start it from here. Again, I'll do the same thing. I'll click on Alt. I'll click on the left arrow, left square bracket, and I can delete this part. I can add it here. Yeah. So now we have. I can just run through it.
Ansh, Harshal has a doubt.
Yeah.
He's raising his hand.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, right now we're placing the videos like exactly next to it, so there's like a cut in between. But when we see the video movies, it's just very smooth. How is that?
I didn't understand it. Yeah. So basically, if you, I can show you the film Anirudh showed you earlier. I can open that. One second. Yeah. Yes. So basically, I'll just analyze through the entire film and tell you parts of it. The film is visible, right? Just tell me if you hear the sound. Is it audible? It's not.
No, Ansh, it's not.
One second. I'll share the sound. Yeah, it should be audible now.
NBC Monday Night at the Movies returns following these.
Yeah, so basically, if we go over the scenes where the acting part starts, for example, here. So in this part, what we did was this wasn't basic. We didn't shoot the film while zooming into the face. All of this was done in the editing
For the
part.
information,
So you can just,
this is
I would probably recommend you to have a tripod or something fixed so that your footage doesn't shake. Like if you're recording it through your hands, the footage might will probably shake, which will not look nice. So you can maybe get a tripod and put the phone or the DSLR on whatever you're shooting it with there. So basically, in this part,
this is an emergency warning
you
from
can
the
see
NBC.
the
The
slow
warning
close
of a
up
nuclear
onto the
strike
face.
against this country.
That is done in the editing part and not the footage. And the knocking sound is also a sound effect
The
which we've
warning of a
added
nuclear
externally.
strike against this country. Nuclear strikes is imminent. Citizens are advised to prepare and remain in their homes. Evacuations are taking place in the Los Angeles.
This effect basically,
Evacuations
we
are
will go
taking
through this
place
effect
in the
as well later on.
Evacuations
You
are
can
taking
do it
place
using the pen tool. I'll explain to you later in another session.
in
But
the
yeah.
Los Angeles, San Francisco.
So the transition between
In the Los Angeles.
this scene and this is also usually in movies we only have a cutscene transition. That is, you just straight up jump to the next scene. That is what you'll usually see in films.
Evacuations are taking place in Bliss.
And here you can see the same shot, like he is walking from the couch to the door. The same shot has been taken from multiple angles. We have the back angle,
Chicago,
and
Washington,
then we
D.C.,
have the
and New
side
York
angle. So
City.
basically, you can have multiple devices shooting it from different angles so that you can incorporate it and it will look better.
The areas. Police will help you with evacuation. Follow their orders.
There's also a fisheye effect in the After Effects you can use for it all depends on the type of film you're making. You can use the different effects. You can check out the software.
Without question, and bring your own supplies. They are little provided for you in the nearest shelter.
So basically, mostly in films, you'll see a cutscene transition only, like here as well. We don't really use transitions in films. They are mostly cutscene. But the thing why they look smooth in films is because they take different angles, which I've already told you. So that is why I think you're talking about why it looks seamless. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
So moving back to this, I can open this original composition which I've completed so that I can explain to you further. Yeah. So basically, this is the final film. Also, while making your film, I would recommend you place a phone inside your pocket or something because then you can also sync the audio with it. I would usually recommend you to have the audio separate and the video separate because if you directly taking the audio from the footage you shot, it might have some fan noises or other noises around which will not look good in the film. So that is another recommendation that you can place a phone or a mic on your chest to have the audio separate. Here, this time I did not have a separate mic, so I did the voiceovers separately. I did not take the footage is audio. I did the voiceovers separately and I added them in the film. This part is also color corrected if I go on the original footage.
So you overlap the audio with the video.
Yeah. So basically, this is
When we are making,
yeah, you can ask.
but when we are actually making like syncing, the audio doesn't actually sync. Right?
Yeah, that's why I don't usually recommend voiceovers because it is hard to sync them according to the footage. And I would recommend you that you can, while you're shooting for the film, you can always make a clap sound before starting so that you can sync the audio and the video. That is why when you see in proper films, they have that rectangle thing. I don't know what's the word for it, but you just press on it and wait, I'll just search Google for it. Uh, and, um, you get what I mean, right? Like, does
Yes.
anyone know what's the name of it? But they basically use it for syncing the audio with the footage, and so that, for example, if I have my audio separate, and if I have my video here, so then you can use the sound from the video. Here I'll play. So see, this was basically the original sound, which was from the video, and I obviously cannot use this because it has a lot of noise in the background. So you can always have a clap sound in this and a clap sound in the audio, and so with that you can sync it well. With this, here this is also color corrected. If I click on the original footage, this was basically the original footage. So obviously you can see the colors are not great, I would say. I mean, you cannot directly put the footage and use it in film. So we basically color corrected it. Yeah. You'll see these 4 boxes on every layer. I can explain them to you as well right now. Some of it would be required in motion graphics. Others you can basically you can use it anywhere you want. So the first one is for the quality and sampling. What this does is, for example, this is mainly used in transitions. So if you add a transition between 2 layers, you can select the other one and it will basically make it smoother. We'll go on to this in the later sessions. The second one is the effect one. Here, if I click on right now, it is checked. That means there is some effect applied on the footage. If I click on this, it will remove all the effects. So basically, you can see the difference in both of the footage. This one is color corrected, and this is the original footage. So that is why color correction is also very important. And basically, these are the basics of how do you cut your clips and how do you arrange them. You can also I'll go over this part of the film. This was basically okay. I think I don't have the footage for it right now. Basically, all of this was the basics of films. In the next session I'll be holding for filmmaking, I'll be explaining further into it and how you can actually go from scratch till the end of it. So, does anybody have any questions right now regarding After Effects of films? Yeah, Arif. I see someone hand raised. Okay, Harshal, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I asked before if we when we overlap in audio on a video, so
Oh, so how do you do that? Are you,
yeah.
yeah, so basically, I'll show you. So, um, yeah, in this part, see, when you are shooting your footage, there is also a mic in the DSLR or the phone camera, whatever you're shooting. So you have audio coming from your footage as well, right? And then if you have, say, another mic or phone in your pocket, which you use for the audio, you have them both linked to it. So in the footage part, if I just turn on the audio for it, I don't think we did it in this one, but what I would usually say is you can just have a clap sound here. Like, yeah, okay. This is the original footage. So basically, in the original footage, you can just have someone clap, like a normal clap, and then since the audio since the audio is being recorded from your phone as well simultaneously while you're shooting for the film, the clap will also be heard in the phone, and then say for example both the claps for example the clap in the footage is at 6 seconds and 19 milliseconds or frames basically. So I'll go on this part. I'll make a if you have like a full sized keyboard, you'll have a numpad in it, and in the numpad you have the star option. I don't have it right now, so I'm going to use the on-screen keyboard. Yeah, so basically you can use this star. Yeah, sorry. So basically you can use this star to add points in your footage. If I click on star, yeah. So basically it will add a marker in your footage. For example, I've added a marker here and the clap occurs here. Okay, and if I take an audio, let me see if I, yeah, okay. So this was basically the voice.mp4 files are basically the audio we recorded, the basically which is from the phone. So now, for example, say I just imported this file, right? For example, I just imported it right now and it is misplaced and I want to sync it with it. So, for example, the clap comes in this footage at maybe this part, okay, 8 minutes, 1 second, whatever, at this part. So you can add the same keyframe here, like you can go over this and add a keyframe here. Now since you have both the keyframes on the claps, you can just join both of them, say this one and this one. And yeah, that's it. Basically, now your audio is synced. I hope you understand now.
So it'll take the audio if the audio is on above the video on the timeline, it'll take the audio, but of the
See, since audio and video are two different file formats, the video basically gives you a view. It is an MP4 and audio is basically MP3. So even if you place it below or above, it doesn't really matter because one part is the footage and one is the audio, so both of them will show up. So you should, for example, if I have this audio, if I place it under my footage, this is the footage. If I place it under the footage, yeah, I will still have it being audible. I can. So the audio is basically still audible, but if you go and if you even if you have the audio turned on from the footage as well, you will still hear both of them. You will hear the audio from the footage and the audio recording, but that will just overlap and obviously it will give a choppy sound. So I would not recommend that. But yeah, it really doesn't matter if it's above or below in case of audio and video.
Okay. Thank you, bhai.
Any other questions? Yes, Nitik.
Yeah, Bhaiya. So actually, me and Arav, we had worked together in Literati this year also and last year. So actually, we are doing it currently, and so I was asking maybe if you could like check our video, like Literati for director's cut. So maybe we could check our video and like give us some tips we can use for
Yeah.
this.
You can send it to me on Discord and I will get back to you.
Okay, thank you, Bhaiya.
So that's it for today's session. Probably you've learned the basics of After Effects. I would recommend everyone to just download the software if you haven't already. And if you have, you can just go over the normal UI of the software and try out things yourself. And in the next session, me and Anirudh will continue. If anybody doesn't have any questions, we can end the class here. I'll stop the recording.
Thank you for joining, everyone.